All right, let's do this. Hi, team. Good to see everybody. I'm gonna do some, there we go. Okay, thanks for meeting with me. Eric Worre's GoPro happened this last weekend. I know Jen and Dean, you were on it. Tom, were you on it?
Yeah, not this year. I had conflict with the dates.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I didn't get, Tom, were you on GoPro?
No,
Okay. Okay. And Joyce and Sheila, I don't think you were either, right? Okay. It was phenomenal. It was so, so good. So I couldn't not have, oh, I'm glad your mom was on too, Jen. So I couldn't not meet with you guys because there was so much I took away from it, and I didn't want a week to go by to wait to share it with you guys. So um it is already on sale for next year, and he's got a low entry fee of just $47, and it will be just a 2-day event. So I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to get that ticket. He had a CEO of another company that was on. He had a gentleman, we saw in the group the price was going away soon. Okay. Yeah, so we have to have a sense of urgency with getting our ticket for next year at $47 because I paid $197 this year. So that's like $150 savings, which is huge. But then he had on, I can't even think of his name, but talking about health. And I was listening to that again this morning. And what he talked about was mind blowing about the body and DNA expression and all the things. But Gary Brecka, you guys write that down. Jen has it in the chat. Gary Brecka, he has a podcast as well. You can YouTube things that he's done. You want to know who he is and you want to listen to what he's done because he is phenomenal. But one thing I recognized right away is that Eric had this titled The Wake Up Call. And he said that because the world is changing, the way people are thinking and buying is changing, and the industry is changing. So he wanted to talk to us and wake us up a little bit because he said right away that in these next 2 years, you're either going to make something of your business and you're going to rise with it, or you're not going to do anything and you're going to fall and your business will fall with you. And there's an urgency there with that. And the first thing I realized is as he started teaching us and as he started giving us just kind of his fundamentals, they're the same fundamentals that he's taught every time I've seen him. It hasn't changed. The basics and the fundamentals have not changed when it comes to this business. And that's a breath of fresh air, absolutely back to the basics, right? But the fact that we have to kind of change in the way that, well, we don't have to change, but like I've said before, people are spending money still, but they want to know that what they're spending their money on is going to bring them value. And so it is up to us to show them and share with them the value that we can bring to them. And in that being said, when I talk about the CEO that shared, his name is Jeff Olson, and he has been on the consultant side. He's been at the corporate level, and he's owned network marketing companies. He's been through all of it. And he decided 7 years ago to sue the government and sue the FTC. And his lawyers thought he was crazy. Everyone told him you'll never win against them. And he won. He won his battle. And that battle that he won, he is a hero. He won that for all of direct selling. He won that for all 1099 employees. And the one thing that has come from it, and I don't know how long he said the pages were and how, like, I think he said it took like 10 months, 6 months for the judge to write like the final verdict of this, but customers are key. Customers are king. Customers matter, right? And that, I feel like, should be a breath of fresh air for us, okay? Because I know that often we get in our head when it comes to starting a new consultant. I know often we get in our head thinking, am I equipped to carry a team? Am I equipped to lead a team? Yes, you are. But if we can just really focus on customers and sharing the value of our phenomenal products, which we all know that we have, the science is there, what we have is there. I mean, every time Eric's been on a Zoom too, that's been LifeVantage Focus, he's always said we need to get louder. He takes Protandim every single day. And he's like, the fact that you have the studies that you have, the fact that you have a study from the Anti-Aging Institute, you need to get louder. So the other thing that he talked about were 5 attributes of a leader. 1 is that they're independent. 2 is that they're a good problem solver. 3 is that they're consistent. 4 is they have a big vision and the ability to communicate it. And 5 is that they create action that maybe people wouldn't otherwise take if they were not around. And that got me thinking as well. I wanted to appease you. I wanted to appease the team like 4 months ago when I decided to go twice a month for our Zooms. And the minute I did it, I don't know, I kind of questioned it, I guess. First of all, I missed you. I didn't like that. I really missed you. And I really realized this weekend that 1, it was a bad decision. And 2, if I want to be an effective leader for you and help you become a leader, I can't just have us meeting twice a month if we're going to treat this like a business. To ask you to meet with me 30 minutes a week for your business is not a big ask. It's just not. And I have to have that mindset so that you can have that mindset. That is part of the vision. If I want you to be engaged and continue to learn and to lift you up and make sure you're in the know and make sure you have clarity about everything that's going on, I can't do that twice a month with you. And so I am committing to you going forward that I'll be here every Monday. I'm not going to do this twice a month anymore. It's not right. And that's not the kind of leader I want to be. I want to be consistent. Thanks, Jen. I want to be consistent. And Carrie this morning did a Zoom for people that are presenting in the 90-day run. And she talked about like when you're in high school and you're doing track and you're doing the baton, you're passing the baton back. I want to start passing the baton back. Like I want to raise up my kids. I want to create MC1s. I want people that have 10,000 in volume in their businesses. I'm all in to help you guys get where you want to go. But I can't help you if you're not telling me. I can't help you if you're not reaching out to me. I can't help you if you're not sharing your struggles or sharing your hesitations. And that's what we can do too on these Zooms, right? But if you want to be all in, like I want to be all in, I want you to let me know. And then together we can set a game plan for you. What does that look like? Right? Because I don't want to be the only leader on this team. I want us all to be leaders. I want us all leading other people because we all have the skill set to do that. We all have exactly what we need to do that. All the systems are in place. With Oppose having the new onboarding website, everything is there for your new consultant, right? Little bits and pieces, exactly what they need to know. Customer care is going to be vital. Our goal should be to create raving fans of what we do. And that means using the customer care site on the One Person Big Difference site, using the tools that are already in place for you to help you do what's necessary to have a thriving business and take good care of people, right? The other systems that we have are ITT, Invite Team Tool, and then the big one we have is ATM, adding someone, tagging them, and messaging them. And I don't know what it looks like yet. I'm trying to get Mr. Sean Poe's help with this. And if you have ideas, please let me know. But I want to launch an ATM challenge for our team for the month of December. I think it could be so fun because ATM gets us in action. So ATM is you add someone to Vitality Living. Once you've done that, you're going to message me that you've added them. I'm going to approve them. You're going to then tag them in Vitality Living on some posts that relate to what they're going through. And you're going to let them know you did that. And then you're going to let them know I'm going to put you in a chat with one of my friends so you can hear her story and find out a little bit more and get your questions answered. That chat can be through Facebook Messenger. It could be through text. But I want to be so busy with chats for you because the beautiful thing about chats, Jen Dykstra is great at these. And what I love about them are chats are always open. They're ongoing. Dean Kayla did one the other week, and we invited this prospect to be on the presentation I was doing last week. She couldn't be on, her little girl was sick. And I said, no problem, I'll send you the replay. So I was able to go back to the chat, send her the replay, and the conversation just continues, right? Because everybody's not ready the moment we invite them. It takes time. It takes many follow-ups to get them to the point where they're ready to make a decision. But if we have this chat going on and you've invited them, they trust you, and someone else comes in and they're trusting them, then there's this ongoing conversation, it could lead to really amazing things. So I want us to ATM our face off. I just think that's where the magic's going to happen. When someone gets into Vitality Living, there's social proof instantly because there's over 12,000 people in there. And I can't tell you how many times too, and Michelle said it as well, that people will be in Vitality Living and then I'll see people out, or I'll see a customer, or I'll see a prospect that I put in there, and she'll say to me, yeah, I saw the other day that someone posted about this. Like, people are watching. They're getting notifications when someone posts in that group. And it could lead to, we've seen in comments, it could lead to them ordering something else. Or what I saw this last week when I was doing GoPro, there were over 100, close to 130 members sitting in the tank waiting to be approved to get in there. Now, this is really no one's fault because I think a lot of them became a point of someone's customer invited someone and customers don't know to tell people that they invited someone in there. But there were a lot of customers that invited people into Vitality Living. That says your customer sees value in there. They're excited about the information in there and they want to tell more people. That is something we want to know because that might mean our customer wants to be a consultant, right? If they're telling people, how can we help them with that information? So it also should become something that we tell our customers about. If you want to add people to this group and you see value, will you please let me know? Because they have to be approved to get in there. They're not instantly in. So it's really important that we make that. I'll see if it's not like an act of Congress to do it. Maybe we can add it to the customer onboarding that's on the Pose site, on the One Person Big Difference site, because I just think that's a very important step that we're going to have to add in based on what we saw. The other thing is I talked to Rachel Bakarik because with the new year coming around, it's all about goal setting. And there are so many different methods of setting goals. But one of the most valuable goal setting webinars I ever saw was Rachel Bakarik. So she did it with her husband, Tony. and it was faith-led, and I just thought it was really beautifully done. So I did reach out to her to see if she was going of value. And I told her what I told you. I said, there's just so many different ways to do it, but I just liked how yours was faith-led, and it just felt different. And so she said she'd get back to me. So I will let you know. I'm really hoping, yeah, it was so good. If nothing else, it is recorded on her page, and we could play that back as a group. But I really would love for us as a group to go through that again, because I just think it's so important. If we don't have vision, vision was such a big word this weekend as well. And I realized that through some of these, I don't know, through maybe the last half of this year, I didn't have a big vision. I didn't have a very clear vision. All I know is I want to help you guys, right? But helping you is one thing, but if I can't help you because of the vision that I have to then help you have a vision as well, I want to have that in place for you. And I allowed the verbiage in my head to be direct selling's in trouble. There's so many bright, shiny lights. People are thinking differently of it. There's a lot, people want you to create like virtual products or online products or all the things. And that's not the case. That's just me putting negativity into my head. So we have to be super important with what we're telling ourselves, because the one thing that has really never changed is this is a numbers game. And if I've learned anything, it's when I feel like I'm at the top of the mountain and I'm really excited and I want to talk to the masses, and I think they're all going to say yes because my energy is so high and I feel so good about everything I'm going to bring them. It's still a numbers game. They're still going to say no. There's still going to be no's, right? But we can't let that get to us. We cannot dim our light. We cannot dim our signal or our posture when that next person might be the one that says yes, right? We have to make sure that the goals that we're setting, our activity and our consistency are congruent with them. And if they're not, we got to lower our goals. We got to lower our standards. But if our goal is to make a certain amount of money or reach so many different lives, we have to make sure that our posture and our belief is being fed properly. And that is a part of my goal as well. My vision for you is I want to be bringing you other people, other leaders that can feed you with leadership development, feed you with that vision, help you in your belief, just help you in your posture to do more of what we need to do. Because now is a time we really have to take the focus off ourselves and we have to start thinking about other people. People need us more than ever. They need our community more than ever. They need our products more than ever. And they need access to what we have access to. I just said it on the last Zoom. When we hear something of value, when we hear something of value about a product, when we hear something of value about personal development, when we get to be on a Zoom like this together and we're talking about setting goals and changing lives, 99% of the world has no access to that. They just don't know. They don't know what that's like. And we have to remember that. And we take this information, and because we're always around people that are thinking big and always around LifeVantage people, we think everybody knows. So if we want to share something we think special, it's not going to be special because everybody probably already knows it and they're going to think I'm crazy for sharing it. That's not the case. If it's on your heart and you feel it, you got to share it. That's how you're going to find your people. And the other big thing is, and again, keep me busy, because I'm not saying keep me busy for my behalf. I want to help you get to where you want to go. But the thing that is working, the thing that people are going back to, ATM for sure, but also home meetings, face-to-face, meeting with people. And one thing I'd like to do, probably at least twice a month, and I just want to stay consistent with it because it worked for me, those of you that were on it. But Eric started one of the days with taking a whole hour. We literally, for an hour, were on Zoom together, and he had us starting conversations. And his goal was for everybody to start 100 conversations. And through those conversations, I booked 2 coffee appointments. I won back an old customer. And that's what he said. Business is about starting conversations. And it wasn't, all he wanted you to do was to start it. And he said, by doing that, I'm taking you into the month of December to continue with your conversations, right? You're just talking to him like you would anyone. But I started in my Facebook Messenger chat, and I just started going through, who haven't I talked to in a while? Who can I talk to? Who's not LV? Blah, blah, blah. And one of them that was in there was an old customer. And I knew her well enough. I'm like, I'm not going to start an old conversation. I'm just going to ask her where she's at. And so I got into Messenger, and I'm like, Terry, I'm like, it has been such a long time. And I'm like, I really miss you. I'm like, I would love nothing more than to serve you as one of my customers. Where are you at with your health? How can I win you back? And she literally was like, I've been thinking about it. and we started a conversation. She placed an order, and she was new again because it had been such a long time. But she heard my voice. She heard what I said. And I literally said, I would love nothing more than to serve you as one of my customers. Like, let them feel your heart. It is about them. It is about helping people in a hurting world that need what we have. And then the last thing I want to say too, and then Jen, I would love for you to share any takeaways. Jen, Dean, Jean, if you guys have any takeaways top of mind, let me know. But the other big thing was, I think I'm gonna have Jen talk about this book of business. Jen, I'd love for you to share that because I know that's a takeaway for you. Sorry to put you on the spot. But Eric Worre talked about his dad being a pastor, and Eric could sing, but he didn't ever really sing in front of people. And so they asked him to sing in church. So Eric practiced because he was so nervous. He got out on stage, and the minute the piano started, everything went blank. Like, he lost all his words. He couldn't remember a thing. And and he said, a million things went through my head in that moment. I could hum and maybe I'll remember. But all he said was, he raised his hands. He's like, folks, I have forgotten every word of the song. Enjoy the rest of the service. Have a good night. And he walked off stage. And people went bananas. Like, they thought that was the greatest thing ever. And the lesson in that is authenticity. The lesson in that is vulnerability. The lesson in that is remembering who you are. Laura is this phenomenal mom that has homeschooled 7 kids, right? She forgets that. Laura forgets that she's raised 7 children and she homeschooled them. She loves the science, but I keep telling her, these homeschooling moms that have children like you do, like, how she got through it, how she kept her sanity when she got sick and she couldn't, what changed her life. Like, it's so easy for us to talk about the science and the things that I know we're passionate about, but I think we have to many times to step outside of ourselves and put ourselves in other people's shoes and say, what's going to speak to that person that's hurting? And it's stories and more stories and more stories. People need to hear your story. They need to hear where you came from, what you were doing. Jean, I'm sure it would be so impactful too for you to talk about just being this huge corporate executive, right? And where you were with that. And then now finding so much fulfillment in the fact that you can make this huge domino effect by helping one person at a time with these amazing products. That would be so beautiful. Sheila being a grandmother, having on so many different hats, working with your husband. Like, how do you manage it all? How do you keep up the energy to do it all, right? What are your tips and tricks with that? Joyce, I know you wear so many different hats as well. I know you have multiple jobs. Like, people need to hear these stories from you. One woman reached out to me for my post today, and I don't know her. And she said, your story resonated with me. I know what it's like to not have a lot of money in the bank. We have to share our stories. Please remember that. Okay, Jen, I'd love to hear what you have to say about some of your takeaways. And then I'll go to Dean and then Jean. Dean, Jean.
Yes, I'm actually was watching some of the replays because I had a lot of stuff going on today, which was awesome that they actually gave us replays for 3 days.
Yeah.
Amazing. But I was on most of yesterday. Gary Brecka I've listened to him for a while and he is just mind blowing to me. And then, but I actually, one of the ahas just because so in the mortgage world, everybody talks about a book of business. Like when you go and you are working, you're basically your customer relationship management, like that is like who you are and what you bring if you ever go anywhere else or if you ever have to start over, right? What people really want is your database. And the same thing. So instead of calling them prospects or customers or things of that nature, the gentleman just is like, well, it's your book of business. And I'm like, I never thought of it that way, right? And when you really, it's a true shift of like, they're not just a customer, they're not just your distributor, they're not just this. It's truly that book of business. And even though we talk about customer care and even though we talk about like building leaders and things like that, it truly is it was a total mindset shift in terms of like just looking at it from a different perspective, coming from that corporate side and now like looking at it, just because I think he talked a lot about that, moving from an employee mindset into a business mindset. And we all think that we have that when we've been in business, but when you're in as an employee and you are working with people for a different purpose than the purpose that you're doing for yourself, it is different. So that was a super big aha it was a great takeaway.
I loved it. Well said. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Dean?
It was just an amazing 3 days. I was blessed to be able to watch it all because some family didn't show up. So it was good just to sit there. And that's hard for me to do, is sit for 3 days. I always have things to do. But Gary Brecka was amazing. Just getting back to the basics and a lot of things he talked about being a leader. The Jeff Olson thing, I rewatched that today. That's the one I had time for. And that to me was so impactful. And I think a lot of people have really no realization of how impactful that was. When the government came to him with the CID, he gave them over 6 million documents.
Mm-hmm.
They were after him and he fought the good fight. He could have given up. He could have, he talked about chokeholds and how they were trying to fence him in. And he chose not to get fenced in, and he chose to fight him. And his attorneys said, you're not going to win this. And he said, I'm in the right. And he won. And to me, the real powerful thing about what he did is it validates our business.
Mm-hmm.
We're not pyramid schemes. We're doing this right. And so much of what our company has done with the new compensation plan with Evolve mirrors what he was doing in his company. It's the right thing to do. And, boy, I just can't wait for the next person to say, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. Well, I can't wait because I'm excited because it's not. It's validated what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we really need to hold our heads high and just say, you know what, we're in a business that matters. We're in a business that helps people. It's legit. And I don't have to listen to you say it's a pyramid. Here's what it is and why it's a legit business. And he talked about the fact that it took 100 years to build $190 million direct selling business in this country. And in the next 6 years, it's going to go to 300. And if you just take the time to stop and think about that and where it's going to go, and that they're saying that by 2040, 90% of the goods will be bought through e-commerce. And when you look at what he did, fought the good fight, how much he helped our industry, and now what's, you know, what's coming in the future with e-commerce and what's changing. Man, the world is wide open. There's a ton of people looking for an opportunity. And we need to get out there and shout to the rooftops about it. But just an amazing 3 days. I'd encourage everybody to get signed up for next year.
Mhm.
So good. Thank you, Dean. So good. How about you, Jean?
You know, I mean, as everybody has said so far, I mean, Gary Brecky, I was not familiar with him at all. And having spent a lot of time in the insurance world, when he started talking about, you know, his actuarial studies and the things that he did there, I mean, that of course was extremely interesting, but also then how he made the flip and moved away from that for really all of the right reasons. And so I did a little bit of research. He has a clinic in Naples, you know, like 20 miles away. And so I'm going to do a little more research on that, and probably be way more money that I'd ever want to spend, but it's close. So, but the other piece also then was about the, you know, the lawsuit and having come from kind of that corporate world, that really rung with me, because I spent a lot of time with regulators in my life and know that once they show up and they decide that, you know, they're going to call all of the shots and they're going to decide whether or not you can keep your doors open. I mean, I've never seen anybody fight the way he fought, and it takes stamina, it takes courage, it takes real grit. And so, you know, Dean's right. What he did for our profession, it just made me, it made me proud. And I think it's one of the first times I could really say that.
Mm. That's powerful. Mhm. I'm so glad, Jean, that you cry as much as I do.
I cried every time you cried earlier.
I love you. I mean, yeah, Jen, belief in the industry, like that fundamentally is huge.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and a lot of times it is hard to sell at times, because people do bring up the, you know, it is just a pyramid scheme and that kind of thing. And so, you know, now I really feel like I'm better equipped to be able to answer those questions. Because it's, number one, because I've heard the way that somebody else has dealt with that in a real professional way. And also there's a place that you can point people to if you really need to. So yeah, it was just a lot of really good material. And I too am glad that you can go back for the 72 hours, because it's too much information to take in all at one time. And so there's a lot of information overload. It's nice to be able to go back and look at some different pieces of it.
I'm gonna have Sean and Michelle, because they've got direct contact with him, but I really believe Eric needs to have Jeff Olson's segment on his page. It needs to be somewhere accessible for all of us as a third-party tool. It's too valuable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But,
I'll
you
put
know,
him-
and I actually wondered too, because Gary Brecky's talk, I mean, it does, and what he does, the way in which he approaches things, does align a lot with the way that, you know, the way we approach things. And I actually went in and did look at like his products, and a lot of his products do, I looked at it and I go, oh yeah, that's real similar to, you know, things that we have, like the probiotics and those kinds of things. And So you might say they're competing products. They're nothing that he manufactures. Tanya, I thought it would be a good thing for LifeVantage to see if we could team up with him and he would use our products instead of the peer products that are on the website.
Mhm,
Not that they aren't good products, but ours are better.
mhm.
I'm sure somebody has already thought about that, but
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. Thank you for bringing that too. One more thing I want to say, Laura, you had said we're so far ahead of the curve. You guys, we really have no idea, because here's what happened. During the weekend, when Jeff Olson spoke, Jeff Olson talked about customers being king, and in saying that, he gave different guidelines of what is important for a company to have in place moving forward. And I'm telling you, everything he talked about, Steve Fife has laid out the groundwork for us. For someone to be able to get to the top of the company off just customers, for us to have the ability to be compensated by not just having to bring in people under us, but by being able to distribute products to people, products of value that they're choosing to buy. Like, everything is in place for this company. And I believe with all of my heart that God chose Jeff Olson to be the guy that would do what he did. Because like you said, Jean, he had the stamina for it. He had the background from the get-go, even being a distributor, to do it. If ever there were a moment to be so proud that you're a part of this industry, like Jean said, this is it. So I will do everything I can. If I have to message Eric myself or whatever, like, you guys all need to see that recording. But again, have full confidence that LifeVantage is now in a place with their new comp plan for us to do exactly what needs to be done. And it's all okay. Like, we're all okay. So we really need to get this out to the masses now. So thanks for your feedback, you guys. That was also valuable.
Yeah, Tanya, the other thing that they did talk about was that we have to do our part in the field.
Yes.
We can't be making claims about income and claims about products curing things. And, you know, it's important that this legwork's done. Now we have to do our part
Yeah.
and be professionals.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Jeff Olson wrote the book, The Slight Edge. I'm sure you guys have all talked about that. And compliance is more important than ever. And that's where Vitality Living comes into play too, right? So, okay, just a reminder that the 90-day run is happening that Carrie Dickey created. I'm gonna try more. I brought it up today and they're starting to get those to us, but I want you to see the bios of the speakers that are taking place, because I feel like if you see the bio and you know who they are, that might be was thinking about you. I know it's been a while, but tonight we've got this guy who's a former teacher, former executive, whatever, that's talking. And I've been a part of this for quite a while. And I thought of you because this person's speaking, and I thought maybe you would, relate to their story. What are you doing tonight? You want to jump on for 20 minutes? And they're really trying to keep it at 20 to 25 minutes as well. So tune into those if you have not, so you get a feel for it. The Zoom outline is the same every time. It's been approved by corporate, but tune in and get a taste of it. Carrie Dickey presents tomorrow night. Maybe watch hers, and then you'll know the feel of it when you invite people to it, but use that as a tool. And then also, I wanted to remind you, take the time tonight or tomorrow morning, just do it tonight when we're done. Go to your website, scroll all the way to the bottom to events. The January virtual event on the 14th is free. It's free. And I think there might be a new launch on the 14th as well, but please make sure you get signed up for that. 13th. Thanks, Jen. Make sure you get signed up for that, and think about having gatherings for people as well. And then also Jen put the link for GoPro for next year. $47. Get that while you can, because it'll probably go over 100 afterwards. We don't know the deadline, but get it before it's gone, because again, it was so valuable. So, okay, let me pray for us and then we'll call it good. 197 after the 47. Goodness gracious. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Okay. Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much again for just this industry, this opportunity. Thank you for Jeff Olson. Thank you for just his heart and for your belief in him, to choose him to be the one to do what he did. And thank you that we have been given the opportunity to change our lives while we change the lives of others. And now more than ever, I know your hand is all over this. So help us to never question it. Help us to have more posture than ever. Help us to truly serve, and help us to truly show and share our hearts with other people, being fully open, being fully authentic, and being fully real. And as we do it, Lord, help us to stay the course, even when the no's come, but help us to maintain the belief that this works and we're here for a reason, and help us to know where to go, who to see, and what to say. I just pray for everyone on this team that they have abundance, that they have belief, and that they have the growth that they're looking for, because we know that you're with us all the time. In your name we pray, amen. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here tonight, and I'll see you next Monday. Okay. Have a good night. Bye.